one of my favorite people on the planet, not just to watch, but just to chat with. He's on the Mercedes-Benz Vans phone line, making his way east, or about to, for Game 3 that's going to be on Wednesday night on ABC between the Celtics and the Warriors. It's now a best of 5 in the NBA Finals. The great Stephen A. Smith here on the Rich Eisen Show. How you doing, Stephen A.?
What's going on, Rich, man? Good morning. How are you, man?
I'm great. Appreciate you giving us some time as you're making your way to the flight east. Your 2 cents on Game 2, well, the first 2 games. Go for it.
Well, I think that the Golden State Warriors could have easily been up 2-0 in this series. They've had some big-time moments, particularly in the third quarter of each game. Unfortunately, they fell apart in Game 1. Was up 15 and ended up being down 15. Tremendous turnaround by the Boston Celtics. Game 2, that did not happen. They recognized that their backs are against the wall. Boston Celtics, you can't go down 0-2 to the Boston Celtics and expect to win a series against them, because they're not going to lose 4 and 5 games. They haven't lost back-to-back games in the postseason yet. And so when you look at it from that perspective, there was an elevated level of urgency. Draymond Green played like that, antagonizing folks the way that he did and being as ferocious on defense as he's ever been. Steph Curry did his thing. Jordan Poole came off the bench and helped. And ultimately, for some inexplicable reason, the Boston Celtics can't seem to get their act together in the third quarter, and it came back to haunt them. This series is tied 1-1.
Well, I mean, just in and of itself, Stephen A., Draymond resting his legs atop Jaylen Brown and then kind of tugging on his shorts is not an ejectionable offense, but it might be worthy of a double technical, as Van Gundy pointed out during the broadcast, which would have, with 1T already on the docket for Draymond, ejected him from the game. Do you think the officials should have done that last night?
I don't think they should have done that. I don't think they should have done something that would have led to him being ejected. I'm not only am resistant to it, I abhor this thought process that we're supposed to avoid and ignore the actual moment that we're in. This is not a regular season game. This is the NBA Finals. And you want the game decided by the players on the court and the coaches in the coaching box. You don't want the play decided by officials. Now, granted, you understand that Draymond had already received a technical earlier in the game. And if you want to make the case that he's a bit too demonstrative and too bombastic when it comes to getting in the face of an official, I even understand that. But a play like that doesn't warrant an ejection. And if you know that it would lend itself towards him being ejected from an NBA Finals, it absolutely disgusts me that 20,000 people pack an arena and millions upon millions of people are watching it on television. And we just want to ignore that because that play customarily would warrant a technical foul. And we're just going to ignore the fact that it would lead to an ejection in an NBA Finals game. I think it's utterly ridiculous that people have that kind of attitude. They want to act like all things are equal and every moment in the same when you damn well know better.
Well, I mean, but how many times, if he did it a third time, then, you know what I mean? Like at some point, though, there has to be some sort of repercussion, don't you think, Stephen A.?
I think there has to be. Well, that says Rich Eisen. Rich Eisen and I love each other dearly. We both, you love your wife, and I love her dearly as a friend of mine for 20-plus years. But I'm sure this isn't the first time, nor will it be the last, that we respectfully disagree. The reality of the situation is that with that particular play, I don't care if it happened 20 times. It doesn't warrant, to me, an ejection. If you gave me the same scenario with the same exact play that took place, I'm more receptive to a referee saying, all right, I've had enough because you're constantly screaming in my face, rubbing your body up against mine, and imploring me to see things the way that you see it, and you won't stop. To me, that warrants more of an ejection than the actual play against Jaylen Brown.
What do you think Money Green meant at the end of his press conference last night, that the Celtics are who we thought they were? He pulled Money Green pulled a Denny Green last night, Stephen A. What do you think? What do you think he meant by that?
I don't know how wide that is. I don't know that wide that is, because let me tell you something right now. Jason Tatum is the star of this league. He hasn't played like one as of yet, but he is. Jaylen Brown is a star as well. This brother can play some basketball, and their defense is real. It's not fake. It's not phony. It's a legit elite defense, in the National Basketball Association. So if he said that about a team that simply tried to outscore the Golden State Warriors and didn't take defensive prowess into account, I get where he's coming from. But Boston has lockdown capability. And when you consider the way they have Klay Thompson struggling, that with the exception of Jordan Poole getting off in the third quarter, they've held him in check, and they certainly haven't allowed Draymond Green to be some offensive juggernaut. I think it's kind of dangerous for him to say that, but he is a three-time champion. This is his sixth appearance in an NBA Finals. If anybody has earned the right to display such bravado, it's him.
Stephen A. Smith, a few minutes left with him before he hops a flight to Boston for Game 3. That'll be on Wednesday night on ABC. And he and Wilbon and Jalen Rose and Greeny and Magic Johnson. That was a terrific ad. You can check him out every single pregame and mid-game, halftime, and afterwards, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. So how do you see the next 5 games playing out? Best of 5, Boston's got home court advantage. Do you think they can pull this off, Stephen A.?
I think we come back to Golden State next week for Game 5 with this series tied 2-2. I think a best of 5 will intensify to a best of 3. I have the Golden State Warriors winning this series in 7 games, but I did say it was a pick'em series to begin with because I happen to firmly believe that the Boston Celtics are an elite team because of their defensive prowess, and if Golden State doesn't get its act in order, they could lose this series. Klay Thompson shoot 4 of 19. That's unacceptable. That's not going to cut it. That's not going to get it done. And I think that we all know that. And so it's one of those situations where I look at Boston, I respect them for being a legitimate bona fide threat that they are, but I still firmly believe that the Golden State Warriors should be the team that gets it done because of their championship experience and because of Mr. Steph Curry, who I think will capture his first NBA Finals MVP honors when all of this is said and done.
Okay, so how do you just take the other side of that? See the Celtics pulling it off. How do you see that being possible?
If they continue to neutralize Klay Thompson and Jordan Poole, they can win this series. The role players are going to be pivotal. I get all of that. But in the end, it comes down to Klay Thompson and Jordan Poole and how much assistance they're going to give to a Steph Curry. Because at some point in time, just like Boston was able to neutralize Steph Curry in Game 1, where he comes out, he drops 6 threes and scores 21 points in the first quarter, and then is held to 13 points for the rest of the game. Just like they figured him out over those last 3 quarters, they could potentially do that again. And if that happens, Klay Thompson and Jordan Poole are going to have to step up. And if they don't, Boston can take these guys.
Stephen A. Smith, a couple more minutes left with him here on the Rich Eisen Show. I have not spoken to you since the Lakers made a move in the direction of Darvin Ham. The report this morning from Shams Charania saying that it looks like Rasheed Wallace might join him on his coaching staff. What do you think of the hiring of Ham for the Lakers, and what do you think they need to do from this moment forward with LeBron and the rest of that roster, Stephen A.?
I love that because what you're doing, you're having a coach, first of all, from a physical perspective, don't even think about pushing Darvin Ham around. Not that they would anyway because they're professionals, but don't even think about that not happening because that's not going to happen. They're not going to push him around. This guy, he's a massive individual. He's earned the right to get this opportunity. I'm happy for him. I was a bit apprehensive about it only from the standpoint that he's a first-time head coach. And considering all the news that has percolated out of the Los Angeles Lakers as an organization and how you have folks interfering with what the coach actually wants to do, you certainly thought that they would hire a stronger mind that wouldn't allow that kind of stuff to happen. But they swear that's not going to happen in the future. That anybody who thought that way about them is not going to have a reason to think about that moving forward. And as a result, they feel the way that they feel. Fair enough. I think adding a guy like Rasheed Wallace to the coaching staff, considering what I know he knows about the game of basketball, combined with how his personality is, how much respect he garners from the contemporary player, and how he can get in their face if necessary, along with retaining Phil Handy, who doesn't get enough credit for his player developmental skills, along with his basketball acumen. I think their staff is going to be pretty strong And I think that that's going to help them overcome a lot of the maladies from last season. So I don't really have a problem with their coaching staff. I have an issue with their roster. Anthony Davis, you don't know how healthy he's going to be. Russell Westbrook doesn't appear to be the ideal fit for them. And as a result, they need to make some moves. Whether they'll be able to remains to be seen, because you don't have people wanting Russell Westbrook, even though he's approaching the last year of his deal at $47 million per. You don't have people that are too keen on grabbing him. That could all change in a matter of months, and we know that. But it really comes down to me, LeBron James and Anthony Davis. How healthy are they? If those two guys are healthy, they can get you to the postseason.
And then
from there, you take it from there.
Last one for you, Stephen A. You could take the Nets or the Sixers as the team to be the Eastern Conference favorites next year. Those are the only two. Which one would you take, Stephen A?
Easily Brooklyn. Easily Brooklyn. From a talent perspective, from an ability perspective, you got Kevin Durant, who I believe is the greatest player in the world when completely healthy. We all know that Kyrie Irving is a showstopper. And Ben Simmons is an elite defensive player. The season before last, he was my vote for defensive, because I have a vote. He was my vote for defensive player of the year. I say all of that to say, obviously, Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving are anything but reliable. Ben Simmons is a complete different case altogether. We don't even know if he's going to play again, to be quite honest with you. We don't know what his mental health situation is like. And in the case of Kyrie Irving, this guy's a showstopper. He's box office. He's worth $50 million a year, as far as I'm concerned, in today's NBA economy. But I would never, ever give him more than a 1 year at a time deal. He cannot be trusted to show up to work. I said this before publicly, and I'll say it again. Rich Eisen, my hand to my heavenly Father, I swear this to you.
Yes.
When Ukraine got bombed by Russia, I actually thought that Kyrie Irving was going to use that as an excuse to skip work. That's who he is. He's done it before. Remember, this is the same guy that skipped work because he was traumatized by the riots at the U.S. Capitol. When everybody else in America had to show up to work, Kyrie Irving took time off. This guy's a professional at skipping work. He finds reasons not to show up to work. It's not that he doesn't want to put in the work. He just wants to show up when he wants to show up. If practice is at 10 a.m., he wants to show up at 12 noon. If the game is at 7:30, damn it, why can't it be at 5:30? If a game is on a Thursday, damn it, why can't it be on a Friday? That's who he is. He's not going to – that's who he is. And so for me, the only thing that you can trust about him is that he'll care enough about his money to show up to earn it. If you know it's guaranteed, he might throw a monkey wrench in that. But from a talent perspective, no question, Brooklyn is head and shoulders above Philly. And I would trust Kyrie's talent and Ben Simmons' talent more than James Harden's talent at this stage in his career because of that hamstring injury he's never fully gotten over, and plus age and attrition.
Stephen A., safe travels.